Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of My Teacher Drinks. My name's Brian, and I'm here to educate you for all of your bad decisions. On today's episode, we're going to make the king of all cocktails, the Old Fashioned. For today's episode, I'm really proud to be sponsored for this one by DSTL Fragrance and by Stillhead Distillery's Small Batch Whiskey. Stick around and I'm going to give you a little bit of info about both of these products, and at the end of the video I'm going to give you a promo code for the DSTL Fragrance. Alright, with that we're going to get into the Old Fashioned cocktail. Now, the Old Fashioned has been around since the late 1800s. The reason it's called the Old Fashioned, it started out before bartenders and bars had access to things like ice and refrigeration, modifying liqueurs, and more modern bartending techniques. So it's a really, really simple drink because of its history, because of how it was made. And the reason it is called the Old Fashioned is because once bars started getting access to ice and fancier ingredients, cocktails started changing. And people would ask for their drink to be made the old-fashioned way, which simply was alcohol, typically whiskey, bitters, and sugar. And that's all there is in an old-fashioned. It's gone through many, many different iterations over the years, and there's still some bars that you'll find. It's definitely regional in the United States. You'll find bars that make old fashions by muddling a fruit salad in the bottom of the glass. That's not my preferred way, but I'm not here to tell you how to enjoy your drink. I'm here to show you how I like to make drinks. And if you like those, I think you will. That's great. So with that, we're going to get into making our drink. We're going to need a really nice large rocks glass and some, of course, I love my really sexy clear ice. So one big large chunk of clear ice. Now I'm going to make this bad boy in a mixing glass so that you can watch and see what's going on. Typically, I like to double purpose shaker tins as a shaker or as a mixing glass just because it's more efficient to have less equipment, but do it however you like and whatever works for you. So, like I always say, we start with our cheap ingredients first. So, we will use, I'm going to go with 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. I like, let's a little bit more. I do like quite a bit of bitters in my Old Fashioned, and actually in most drinks. I'm a bit of a bitter guy. Okay, so then we're going to go for 1/3 of an ounce of demerara syrup. This is a 1-to-1. That means one part syrup, 1 part water. And I like to. The reason I'm using demerara, demerara is an unrefined sugar, and it has a small molasses quantity in it. So that molasses plays really nicely with the bitters and the whiskey, and kind of plays off the orange as well. So yeah, demerara is definitely my go-to for an old fashioned. 2 ounces of Stillhead's Rye Whisky. So now Stillhead's Rye Whisky, this is made of 80% rye, 20% barley. It is aged in a blend of ex-bourbon barrels, an ex-maple syrup barrel, and an ex-port barrel. And then those barrels were then blended by Brennan, their master distiller, and a very, very small run was made for this whiskey. There are only 236 bottles of this in existence. There are still a few left, so head to Stillhead's website right now, www.stillheaddistillery.ca, and get some of that whiskey in your liquor cabinet ASAP. All right, so you'll notice I didn't put ice into my mixing glass, and that allows me to talk, or if I didn't have an ingredient, I forgot to check my ingredients before I started making a drink, I could stop, and this is not going to get diluted by the ice. It can sit indefinitely until I'm ready to mix it all up. And now I am. So I'm gonna almost fill it up so that you have ice well above your liquid level in your mixing glass. Take the back of the spoon, the back of the bowl of the spoon, and run it down the inside of your mixing glass right to the bottom. And then your objective is to keep the back of the spoon against the inside of the mixing glass, twirling it between your fingers just like so. You can do it gently, you can do it quickly, but the object is you don't want to agitate it and change the consistency of the drink too much. You don't want to aerate it. And that's why we mix and don't shake. And the goal always is we are mixing, chilling, and diluting all in one step. It usually takes around 10 to 15 seconds. A little trick I like to use is feeling the outside of the mixing glass. And once it starts getting a little bit cold on the outside, probably going to be ready. So then I'm going to give it a little taste. Oh, yeah. That's perfect. Perfect. Okay, as well, I like using hawthorn strainers, even with a mixing glass, because they are better than julep strainers. You do not need a julep strainer. I'm going to double strain this because, it's such a pretty simple cocktail that we don't want to put any ice shards into that. Oh, look at that. All right, I got a little overzealous with my ice cube there, but so now we've got our drink ready to rock here. I'm gonna pull off. Oh yeah, look at those oils just flying off there. So when you're picking an orange for zesting for a drink like an old fashioned like this, the really, really bumpy, gnarly looking ones, that's the ones you want. That's got all the oils in it. So I went a little crazy here, but also my personal philosophy on garnishes for cocktails of this nature are something delicate and pretty, like a little daiquiri or an aviation or something like that. I think they should have a delicate garnish, something that's a little more burly, a little rough around the edges, like an old fashioned should have, a garnish that's a little burly and rough around the edges. So I simply pull off a simple swath. I don't even clean it up. I just, rub the oils up the glass and toss it in. And that right there is a damn good old fashioned. So there, we have our old fashioned. Thanks very much to DSTL. This is a fragrance company inspired by cocktails, and this is their very first release. It is based on the old fashioned, and I'm telling you, this stuff smells just like oranges and vanilla and spices. That second that I just pulled off the orange right there is exactly what this reminds me of. Just that moment when it arrives, when the old fashioned arrives to you and you smell it, that's exactly what this just brings right through. It's mostly oil based, so you're not going to walk into a room and the whole room's be like, who's wearing perfume? This is, because it's oil based, you got to come in close. And so it's really just for you and someone who's really close to you. So if you know what I mean. Yeah, DSTL, go to their website, dstl.ca, and use the promo code VIDEO, all capital letters, VIDEO, and you will get 10% off of your purchase. Great bunch of people based out of Victoria, and that's the old fashioned. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining. Hit like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me, and I hope you have a great day. Cheers.